Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if this is another video that you've decided to click on. I still don't know how to do intros, I'll figure it out. As you can see in the background, I have decided to do something live, trying something new. Don't think it worked out the way I had hoped it would, but I also couldn't think of anything to draw, so you get what you get, and I tried. Now on to the topic. If you clicked on this video or you somehow let it autoplay, I assume that you have some sort of opinion on the concept of art theft. And so a quick disclaimer is that this is by no means the end-all be-all of art opinions. Or art theft opinions, words. But it is my opinion, and I hope that you walk away with something that is at least slightly helpful. And as far as why have I decided to talk about this, I mean, with digital art just becoming more and more popular, more and more accessible, and especially with NFTs, art theft, I think, has become a hot button issue, a hot topic issue. I think specifically with NFTs, it's become kind of a hot button issue. And we need to talk about it because it happens everywhere, and especially by big companies. Yay, capitalism. So how did I get here? I've always been an artist, at least since I can remember. I've just always done something. And since I've been on the internet, I've kind of been a part of the art community, not as like an active contributing member, other than posting my art and stuff that's bad, but more of like a lurker, longtime fan of things. I wasn't heavily into the DeviantArt like art ranting community, but I was definitely like on the sidelines for a few things that happened. And when the art community kind of came in full force on YouTube, I've just sort of always casually watched that along with all the other content that I watch. And when it comes to the topic of art theft, it's always been something that has been kind of just one of the main topics of the art community in my memory. And I could be wrong here, but with the information that I've gotten, it's always kind of focused around one particular artist tracing another artist's work. And claiming that they're an artist. That's generally been the largest swath of information that you get. And I've noticed that it's a lot bigger than that. And we're talking, giant companies straight ripping artists' work via the right-click save function on their computer. So it's no longer, prior to the internet, where you had to kind of be an artist in order to forge other artists' work. And it was sort of that way in the beginning of even the digital art eras. Like, you kind of had to be somewhat of an artist in order to rip other artists' work. And as time has gone on, it's just gotten easier and easier to just copy, paste, barely edit it, if that, and re-upload. And also, unfortunately, frequently, these re-uploads get more attention than the original upload, which, doesn't feel any better to an artist. And so why did I suddenly decide that I needed to say something now? Well, I finally started my YouTube channel after years, but that aside, I was searching for a particular TikTok artist that I really like, and I was having a hard time finding him. And so I ended up kind of searching their general aesthetic. And I found a sticker that I did mistakenly believe was a straight like copy and paste of one of their other stickers. In retrospect, it was just heavily inspired. The layout was exactly the same, but the rest of the sticker was technically different. So, I don't know. Take with that what you will. But so it kind of got me thinking while I was looking on these pages. I decided just to run a really informal little experiment. And I found one particular sticker design and started counting how many shops had that same design. The worst offender was a practical magic sticker that has like the salt, lavender, rosemary, and a heart, and it was all in a line because I didn't count the shops that took those same 4 items and kind of put them together and layered on top of each other. I just went with the straight line. You could tell some of these had different styles, like the person had redrawn it a little bit, but 12 shops in 3 pages, because I limited myself to only 3 pages as to not artificially inflate the numbers. 12 different shops had the exact same layout and general theming design. I don't know about you, but that's a little sus. And then, there were 2 other designs that, was it two or 3 other designs that within the first 3 shops, I counted 3 or so different shops having very similar theming. And I reached out to the TikTok artist I was looking for. They have asked to remain anonymous, but they did provide that some of their designs, there were other shops also copying them line for line. So I started to notice there was a heavy trend of art theft in the sticker community. Posted some videos on my TikTok, which I don't know if you want to check that out. It is forgotten_object, and you can see a bunch of artists in my most recent videos when I'm talking about art theft mentioning that their art has been stolen. They've had to send several DMCA takedowns for large drop shippers trying to rip their art off. And so, I don't know, go ahead and check those artists out, maybe get something from them, buy some stickers. Who doesn't like stickers? And so, with that being said, though, art theft's kind of ethically thorny, don't you think? It's where do you draw the line? Because I know that there have been occasions in the early art community days that concept theft was something people got really upset about. Like, oh, well, that's my color palette and you stole it. Nobody really has a license on colors. We're not talking about Vanta Black. And you can't really own, say, crystals or flowers or succulents or, containers. You can't really, you can't own teacups. You can't corner the market and be the only teacup artist. There's going to be multiple people drawing teacups. But I'm pretty sure, at least with the sticker community and just art theft as a whole, there are some pretty clear lines being crossed. And the worst of it's on the NFT marketplace, honestly. So on to some of my slightly more researched things. Companies like LuLaRoe, Shane, and Melon Notebooks are companies that I found that have art theft problems. Even when called out, some of these companies will provide just lackluster apologies, and they would rather beg for forgiveness than ask for permission half of the time. One of these companies, Melon Notebooks, actually stole art from an artist that has passed. I'll talk about it a little bit more. They claim to have proof, which was a DM chain of them talking about possibly having a deal. And I don't know about you guys, but, when you're talking about doing salacious things with your partner, it's not consent until you actually consent. If you're talking about doing things, you're just talking about it. And in my opinion, consent was not given for them to steal this artwork. But first, the fun one, the one that everyone kind of knows about. Mickey Lynn LeFleur, I think that's how you pronounce her name, had her art stolen, or their art. I I apologize, I did not look up, so I'm just gonna go with they. That's safer. Anyways, they had their art stolen by LuLaRoe, and they actually had the artwork available to be purchased for a professional official license without the watermark. They didn't even go that far. They didn't buy it like they should have. They didn't buy the license to use the pattern. They just copied and pasted, so her name was on the leggings that were printed. And I do understand that LuLaRoe had ridiculous quotas that needed to be met. Still, in my opinion, not an excuse to go ahead and steal art. If you've got really high demands that are causing your artists to think they have to steal art, you need to lower your demands as a company. But I'm pretty sure most people on here feel the same way about LuLaRoe, so we'll just go ahead and drop that one. The stolen art, honestly, can be found not just on Etsy, but it can be found on Redbubble, Cafe Press, even Amazon, obviously. And most of the time, you kind of see these resellers, if they're just copy and pasting art off of Instagram, they're putting it on new prints, stickers, blankets, shirts, tapestries, notebooks, stationery in general. And half the time, it's quite a process to try and get these tchotchkes taken down. There's actually apparently even bots on Twitter that search for keywords in the comments if people say like, oh, I want this on a shirt, and then they'll rip that art from Twitter and put it on a shirt. And this was proven by a Twitter user who did an art piece that says, this site sells stolen artwork, do not buy from them, and then asked their followers to quote tweet and say they wanted it on a shirt, or reply and say they wanted it on a shirt. And I didn't take a look at the timestamps, but fairly quickly, a site called t-shirtpublic.com had the image on a shirt for sale. So it's very clear that there are definitely bots being bots and just trolling Twitter for some random, coder who has decided that's how they're going to make money, and they get to make money off of this. Back to Melon Notebooks, they stole art from Kinney Kin Han, who most people at this point know passed away in 2020, and she had some amazing artwork, and a lot of it was, I think, artwork that helped her cope with her own poor health. And so they thought that they had permission from her because they were talking about potentially using her artwork on their notebooks, and they used her talking about it. The article I read said she was pushing a deal, but that doesn't mean that there was a signed, sealed contract, and that's where I think Melon Notebooks messed up. King has had a lot of other artwork stolen from her as well, and I really hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I apologize if I'm not. There's actually a lot of her artwork that has been ripped and posted as NFTs that her brother got to find for sale on OpenSea, which he did not provide permission for her artwork to be sold on OpenSea. And technically, as an artist, you can copyright your artwork, but it costs $55 per piece. And so if you draw a lot, that's a lot of money. And if you're someone like me who's still working on trying to make their art a career, that $55 can go to other things. I'm not making money off my art right now. And so I can't copyright each individual piece of art that I want to copyright. I just, bills, food, my cats, there are things way more important, rent, than copywriting my own work. There was actually an instance here that I have written down. This one's fun. Shaky, shaky, shaky. Aaron Carter. He's a piece of work, apparently. He tweeted out a promotional photo of what were going to be his $100 hoodies, his line of hoodies that were going to be $100 a piece. And he stole artwork from Jonas Jodki. I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm just going to call him Jonas from here on out. When Jonas confronted Aaron Carter about the art theft, he decided to be a stuck-up little prick and respond with things like, you should take this as a compliment. And bro, literally get over yourself. Which, I don't know about you, but like, I'm not even a professional artist. I assume Jonas is a professional artist. I don't like people stealing my art. That would piss me off, and I'm not going to get over myself. No. Especially if you're selling it for $100. Like, I'd get mad if a tiny drop shipper is selling, you know, a sticker I designed for $2. $100? You're making $100 off my work and you didn't reach out to me? Screw you. Just a random little statistic I found, which you'll be able to check out yourself in the links below, is that 64% of professional photographers had their work stolen over 200 times in 2016. That was 2016, so I'm pretty sure it's a lot worse now. I would like to actually see if I should have looked a little harder, but maybe I'll put it in the description or something if there's a statistic from like 2021 or 2022. 2020. 2022 is not over yet. So, from what I can see, DeviantArt actually, though, as a site, seems to be the only one that really cares about its artists. They were trying to crack down on things that were being posted on OpenSea as NFTs. And they reported in 2021 to have sent out over 90,000 alerts of possible fraud to thousands of users. Currently, the site is scanning for fraud across 4 million newly minted NFTs per week. And in 2021, the number of alerts doubled from October to November and grew by 300% from November to December. And in December, DeviantArt's servers were actually attacked, and it just scraped whole galleries of artists' works. And then the pieces appeared as NFTs with the artists' names and watermarks still attached. And so not only do we have bots trolling Twitter to steal art, we now have bots completely just doing full-blown gallery heists. It's just a gallery heist, but in a digital form. And from what they noticed is that it wasn't always stealing from certain aesthetics. It was stealing from just blatantly from the top artists based off of likes, comments, shares, no really particular theming. Now, OpenSea, just some information there, is now valued at $13 billion and is attempting to become publicly traded. I'd like to know how much of that $13 billion is stolen artwork specifically, because OpenSea has been being one of the largest NFT marketplaces, has definitely gotten the stolen artwork. They had the stolen artwork from Miss Han, so, you know. And that's not even getting into Instagram, that it's almost worse on Instagram as far as stolen artwork getting more traction than the original artist. So there's a lot of artists that try to get their start on Instagram. I suck at Instagram. I try, but I suck. And they'll post their artwork. I'm really bad about watermarking my stuff. And so honestly, just copy and paste, and then you put it on the art promoter's page and everyone thinks that you're the artist, and there you go. Now you have an entire channel of stolen artwork. And then there's also been this concept for art promoters or art reposters that are shamelessly reposting, and they know that they're reposters. They'll just put credit to the artist, and that's it. And I don't think that that's enough. You need to give their full name. And that's really only if the artist has expressly mentioned that they're okay with their artwork being shared. I would say better safe than sorry. If you really like an artist's work, just direct people to go to it. Just say, hey, I really like this artist's work. Go check them out. If I hadn't promised to keep the sticker artist quiet, I'd be mentioning them by name, but I can't. And so, as kind of stated, DeviantArt's really the only ones who seem to care about their creators, and OpenSea claims to care, but I'm not really seeing an improvement, and there's still a ton of stolen art, and a lot of it's getting ripped off DeviantArt and Twitter and Instagram. You know, where artists need to go in order to get some traction. Fun how that works, isn't it? And so it kind of comes down to us again to vet our creators and make sure that we know that our creators are not stealing images and reposting them. I've actually seen a huge uptick of Junji Ito's artwork being stolen, and I get that he's, you know, published some books and he's considered like a larger artist at this point. That's no reason to steal his work, and we need to try and make sure that we're getting officially licensed materials if we're buying things like that, or that we are vetting our creators and making sure they're the original creators. And if you don't care, then you need to be able to sit with that on your conscience. It kind of comes down to, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that we need to do better. I was originally thinking this was going to turn into a piece about how there's no original concept, no original ideas, as Mark Twain said. And though that's true, because nobody can own the concept of crystals, flowers, succulents, containers, like I said, we do not have the right to steal someone's hard work in interpreting that idea. Because there are new interpretations, because every person's a little bit different. There are similar interpretations. And so it's a really rocky gray line that it's kind of impossible to always stay on one side or the other. But I think we need to at least stop completely forging other artists' work. And so don't support companies like Shane. Don't support companies like LuLaRoe. Don't support giant drop shippers on Etsy. It's a risk. I know it's more expensive to go with the small creators, but maybe just do it. And I have to work on that too myself. So if you liked this video, you can give it a like. You can hit subscribe. And I will see you on the flip side.